look at a couple story problems where we can use our techniques of factoring and solving. So we have a rectangular kitchen has a length 2 feet longer than its width. The area of the kitchen is 120 square feet, and we're trying to find the dimensions of the room. With any story problem, it's important to think about what question are we being asked to find, because that usually tells us what our variables are going to be. So we're looking for the dimensions of the room, and we're also told it's a rectangular kitchen. So anything geometric, I like to make a little sketch to help me keep track of the information. So dimensions of a room are the length and width, and we're told the length is 2 feet longer than its width. So we could let x be the width of the room, and then the length of the room will be 2 feet more, so x plus 2. And then the area of the kitchen is 120 square feet. So the area formula, I probably expect you to know this, is that length times width is the area of a rectangle. Let's make those look like equal signs. There we go. So the length is x plus 2, the width is x, and we know the area is 120. So at first this looks factored, but remember, we have to have things set equal to 0 before we factor. So let's simplify. There we go. X squared plus 2x is 120. X squared plus 2x subtract 120 equals 0. Once we've got it set equal to 0, we can factor. And I'm thinking 10 and 12. They multiplied 120, and if one's positive and one's negative, I should be able to get a difference of 2 there. So I'll write down my 10 and 12. I want to have a plus 2x, so I'll make the 12, the larger one, the plus, and the 10, the smaller value, the subtract. That way they multiply to negative 120, and add up to positive 2x. And again, this is an equation, so it's set equal to 0. Each of my factors can now be set to 0 and solved. And I'm going to get two solutions, but I think you're going to realize that one of these cannot possibly be the width of the kitchen. A width cannot be negative. So I'm going to have to toss that solution, but this one I want to keep. And again, what I'm looking for are the dimensions of the room, so always double check that you're answering the question. If x is 10, then the length of the room is 10 plus 2, which is 12. And so the dimensions of the room are going to be in feet. So the kitchen is 10 feet by 12 feet. So I want to answer with a sentence and include the appropriate units for the sentence. Okay. Next one involves the Pythagorean Theorem, and yes, you need to know this. The Pythagorean Theorem, you probably remember as being a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and c is the hypotenuse. And this only applies to right triangles, so triangles where there's a square corner there, a 90-degree corner. A and B are the legs of the triangle. C is the hypotenuse, the side opposite the right angle, and C is also the longest side of the triangle. So our problem here, room, find the sides of a right triangle. So whenever you hear the right triangle, think probably Pythagorean Theorem. One leg is 5 meters. The second leg is unknown, and we know the hypotenuse is 1 meter longer than the unknown leg. So again, make a sketch, keep track of the information. We know one of the legs is 5 meters. We don't know the second leg, and then the hypotenuse, the side opposite the right angle, is 1 meter longer than the unknown leg, so x plus 1. And then we know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared will apply since we know it's a right triangle. A is 5, b is x, and c is x plus 1. So this side simplifies pretty easily. 25 plus x squared. And be careful here. This does not equal x squared plus 1 squared. We have to FOIL this out or use our formula for the perfect square. I usually don't take the shortcut. and FOIL it out. So then I've got 25 plus x squared is x squared plus 1x plus 1x plus 1. So I've got 25 plus x squared is x squared plus 2x plus 1. And I'm wondering if you see what I see. When I gather like terms and get everything on one side of the equation, since I have an x squared over here and an x squared over here, these are going to cancel each other out. And I'm not going to have a quadratic equation. This one actually solves out pretty nicely for us. So, getting everything on one side, I think I'll subtract 25, subtract x squared, and subtract x squared. That way I'm getting 0 on the left side of the equation, and 2x subtract 24 on the right side of the equation. Now, I'm going to bring that 24 back over. Oops. There we go. I'll get to the bottom of the page there. So I've got 24 equals 2x, which gives me x equals 12. So the dimensions of the triangle then will be 5 meters, 12 meters, and the hypotenuse is 13 meters.